Good morning, how are you? My name's Kerry Waring and I'm a psychic medium soul coach. And for those of you that don't know me or know my work, basically is I'm here and I help you connect to your soul. And I do that in a variety of different ways. Yes, certainly I do readings, but I also do a lot of education and teaching and offering tools and techniques. And this is a weekly Soul Whispering Wednesday video where I come to you and talk to you about different topics, sometimes offer intuitive readings. And today, in this week's video, I want to talk to you about your intuition. And what's really important, some of the things that you really know to do that, and I hope in sharing this with you, I'm actually fueling your passion and your desire to want to live from your intuition a little more. So how does that sound? So basically, we all know intuition is an inherent part of who we are as humans. We know that. Often, though, it's still one of those things that we don't trust, that we shy away from, that we ignore. And then in hindsight can tend to kick ourselves for doing that. I guess one of the things that I really want to share with you about your intuition is really, yes, it is a natural part of who you are, but it's also connected to that part of you that is connected to God, to the divine essence. And therefore, and I guess if there's one thing I want you to take out of today's video, it's this. It's knowing that where your intuition is connected to God, to the divine, to that part of you that is all-knowing, it means that your intuition is connected to your soul's plan. It knows your soul's plan. And morning, Leslie, how are you? You're still on holidays, I see. So your intuition is connected to your soul's plan and therefore to your destiny. So when you actually follow your intuition, when you act on it, when you acknowledge it, it will lead you to your destiny. It will lead you to those moments of destiny. It will lead you to your soul's purpose. It will lead you to the purpose of why you're here in this incarnation. And while we tend to make that stuff all really complicated, when we break it down, all you really need to be doing is acting and following on those intuitive nudges. So yes, we're talking intuition today. And by all means, if you have any questions as I'm talking, as I'm discussing around this topic and how it relates to you, then please do. Please ask away. So one of the things that is how your intuition speaks to you. It speaks to people in a variety of different ways, and it will be different for everyone. So let's open that discussion a little bit. How does your intuition speak to you? And firstly, one of the strongest senses of intuition is the knowingness. Is just, you don't know how you know it, but you just know that you do. Hey, and for those of us that are practicing mediums or practicing intuitives, you'll know, I'm sure you'll know this. I know for me, it's one of the strengths in my mediumship, that knowingness. And for me, it's sort of one of those things where there's really no doubt around it. So I enjoy that part of my intuitive nature. So it's the knowingness. One of the other things that I want to share with you is that an intuitive thought travels with a sense of peace and calm. It travels with a warmth, it travels with an energy. It's an intuitive thought will have that kind of connectedness to it. Whereas a monkey mind thought feels empty. It might feel like there's nothing there, there's nothing further, it's a block, So an intuitive thought travels with a sense of peace and calm. Sometimes the other thing is it just feels right. You just know that if you're thinking about making a decision, you know that one of the options just intuitively feels right. Whether you listen to that in the next step is entirely another thing, but however, you just know that it just feels right. So I hope I'm building a picture of how your intuition talks, because, and I know if you want to share with me in the comments about how it works for you, then by all means, please do. Of course, our clairvoyant dreams can be associated with our clairvoyant visions can be associated with our intuition. It's often even those that are unconscious of their clairvoyance or untrained with their clairvoyance can have, daydreams, visions, all sorts of things going on. So that they can be associated with our intuition, as can our dreams. I can remember I've had quite a few dreams over the years that have played out, and I guess probably one that was standing out happened when I was about 18, and this was actually probably the only psychic thing that I really recognised before I became spiritually aware at 26. And that was a dream where I was dating this guy, and I saw in the dream he ended up was with someone else. And you know what? It was literally, as it sort of played out in the dream, it played out in real life. So yeah, it was just like a mirror, basically. So just watch for those dreams, How many times have you had a dream that has turned out to be a premonition? Do you watch them? Do you write them down? Another way that our intuition speaks to us is through the energy of goosebumps. How many times have you been in conversation with someone and essentially like you just get goosebumps because of what they're saying or what you're saying? And I know in my world, like in the world of the intuitive, I guess we sort of really take that as confirmation. We see that as confirmation and a real connectedness to what is being said. So we don't just shake it off. We just, we honour that in the moment as confirmation. That it will be telling us we're on the right track. It'll be telling us that what we're tapping into at that moment is real. So yeah, so honour, when that happens for you, honour that in some way, really feel it. I guess some other things to note with your intuition is when you realise a intuitive thought or come to a place of connectedness with your intuition, it's accompanied with a moment of clarity. There's a real sense of, one, you've got the connectedness in the feel and the energy, but you've also got the sense of it clearing doubt, of it clearing confusion, and a real moment of clarity when you go, oh, okay, I know what's happening here, I know what I need to do, all of those things. Of course, though, give it a few moments, give it the next day, whatever it might be, usually within that next 24 hours. It's quite often that you'll kick into overthinking. It's quite often that you'll kick into the fear and doubt and the thinking about, okay, if what my intuition is telling me, if that happens, then we start thinking about, okay, what's next? What will be the consequences of that? What am I scared of? What am I fearful of? And it's in those moments that we kick into overdrive with all of that thinking that we then lose the connectedness to the original intuitive thought because we've got fear and doubt now blocking it. So in those instances, I usually sort of say, acknowledge your fear, acknowledge it, feel the fear and do it anyway, all of that stuff. Play the worst case scenario game, if the worst case of your fears and doubts played out, what would happen? And then come back to your come back to your original intuitive thought. You know, bring your mind back to sitting in that thought and the energy of that thought, because it has real energy connected to it. And remember, as I said in the beginning, that those intuition, those intuitive nudges are connected to your destiny. They're connected to your soul's plan. So it's that part of you that is coming in from the divine essence guiding you forward. It literally is your intuitive navigation system to get through this life, you know. So I want to help you power that up and really make it such a powerful force in your life for you, you know. So share with me, you know, like, do you recognize those? How does your intuition speak to you? You know, how does that, yeah, how does your intuition speak to you? I mentioned a variety of ways there. How does it speak to you? I know for me, it speaks to me in my knowingness. I do get intuitive thoughts, and sometimes I'm still not the best at recognizing them. Like even just yesterday, for example, I went around to local shopping centre, which is where my doctor's is, was dropping off something in the post box as well, and was thinking about needing to call a friend and to say, hey, what are you doing? You want to have coffee? Blah, blah, blah. Just thinking like that. And I thought, okay, I was tossing up, not really sure whether to do that or not, because one, I did have plans with getting through my work, so and I didn't want to get distracted. Anyway, as I turn around to walk back to my car, here she is. I see her driving out of the car park. So yes, I did feel like the thoughts, but I still ignored them. So and yes, it definitely was her. So anyway, that's just how it is sometimes, you know. Of course, though, that probably would have meant, what I missed in that opportunity was the fact that there would have been, I'm a believer in the fact that there's purpose and meaning in the fact that we probably should have got together for coffee. So anyway, that's how it is. Okay, so one of the things that's really, really important about your intuition and knowing how do you strengthen it, how do you honor it, and the reason why you need to do that is, I guess the thing is, if we choose to ignore it, if we choose to not act on those intuitive nudges, what will happen is you'll stay stuck, basically. You're disconnecting from yourself, from your life path, from your soul's plan. So you just tend to go around in circles. However, it's imperative that to expand, to grow, to strengthen your intuition, it is imperative to acknowledge an action. It's in the actioning where you'll strengthen your intuition, you'll expand its use, you'll have it speak to you more often, you'll have it speak to you more readily. It's in the actioning and the honouring that it will grow as a force within you. And I can tell you that that can be life-saving. You know, I've had a client who we first met probably about 10, 11 years ago. And he had a form of cancer that was not curable. And in the connection that we had, so in the reading, we got together and I really sort of, without realising it, we worked to connect his intuition, to educate him a little bit about his intuition. And so fast forward probably about 8 years later, he recontacted me and he was still with us, which was a blessing because that wasn't necessarily expected. Second, his intuition had become so finely tuned that it was an expert in managing his health, which in the reality was managing his cancer and giving him, and it was because of the work that we did, because of his intuition, it had given him more longevity, more time to be with his family. But it was the intuitive nature of how he was managing his health. And this meant there were times when he had to disagree with the medical profession, you know, when he had to sit there and go, okay, no, that's not right for me, and I know how to work with this. So yes, your intuition can be life-saving. How many people do you know that can share a story with you where they feel like they've been saved from some sort of accident, a car accident, whatever it might be? You know, I hear those stories, you know, so it can be not just life-changing, but life-saving. And of course it can be life-changing, because it certainly will. It will acknowledging and actioning your intuition, no matter how difficult that may be, will shift your life. It will bring you closer and more in alignment with your soul's plan and your destiny, just by simply doing that and starting off small. So Leslie's posted a comment. She says she works with a knowing, a hearing something in a conversation, and sometimes repeatedly. Yes, I do that too, Leslie. For example, her career has been on her mind a lot lately, and you felt really lost and didn't know what direction to take. Then in a conversation, a person said something and it was like an aha moment, and I realized what they said was something you're passionate about and maybe you should look into it more. Absolutely. And that is as simple as that can be, and as gratifying as that can be. Really, that is the little intuitive nature of living from intuition. You know, it's sort of, I guess one of the things that I wanted to say about intuition is the nature of it is we don't always know where we're going to end up. When you're living from intuition, you do not know the outcomes. You do not know where you're headed, what you're going to see. You're not going to see the whole full staircase of what you're looking at before you, you know. All you're going to know is that you need to take that one step. You don't know where it's going to lead, what it's going to unfold, but you know you need to take that one step. And when you're living intuitively, you're building trust in that. Because what will happen is you take that one step, it'll unfold something, and the next piece of intuitive information can then slot in. But until you take that one step, it won't. So no amount of you sitting there trying to work it all out, trying to see the full picture is ever going to work. All we need to do is take that one step. And so, Leslie, I know that you take that one step in looking into it more and what you're passionate about, that will lead to the next step, and that will lead to the next flow of intuition coming in to guide you on what you need to do. And this is how it works. This is literally just, you need to build trust in and faith in your intuition, in that part of you that does connect with it. And you need to build faith faith and trust that where it's guiding you is actually coming from that, from your soul's plan, from your destiny, from God, all of those things, if you believe like I do. So I guess one of the things about your intuition is, as I mentioned with my client and his health, your intuition does have an ability to become an expert, so to speak. You know, as you work with them more, it'll fine tune by naturally, and in the nature of where you focus, it really will kick in more and become more attuned to what answers you need. So say, for example, if you are someone that really struggles to trust people, then I'm sure your intuition will become an expert at discerning who you can connect with and who you can't. You know, if health is really important to you, then it will, with a focus, your intuition will become an expert at helping you manage your health and what is right for you and what isn't. It's if your parenting, your children's needs are massively important to you, and that's a big focus for you, then your intuition is going to fine tune into that. It's going to highlight for you on a day-to-day basis your children's needs, especially if they have health issues or learning disabilities or any of those things. And how many times do we say to trust in your intuition and keep persisting against authority if need be, against what teachers might say, against what your doctors might say? You know, take the risk of being seen as a silly woman or whatever it might be, and just really trust in your intuition, because I know lots of people that have done that and again saved their life and made big differences for the children. So it is powerful. It does take you to need to be strong and brave when you're faced with those sort of situations. Another way is that if you have an intuitive business or any business really, you know, like your intuition really will become an expert in growing that business. But there, I guess, as I'm talking about this, there's one thing that I really say. If you have an intuitive business, so if you are an intuitive practitioner where you do readings, you're a medium, any like-minded people who run a business similar to myself, then you really cannot afford to not honour intuition in your own life. You cannot be sprouting intuition to other people and not putting your money where your mouth is and trusting it in your own life, no matter how difficult that can be. You know, so no matter, you got to face your shit, you know, so, and sometimes you got to make those difficult situations because your intuition's guiding you there. And if you're sitting there not stepping over the line and acting on that intuition or acting on those nudges because it's too hard, because it's, you know, going to upset the apple cart or whatever it might be, are you really being the best intuitive for your clients? If the advice you're giving them is different to the advice that you're applying in your own life with this stuff, are you really being, you know, the best example for them? You know, so that's just something that came in at that point that I needed to share. And, you know, I think it's important, you know, it's important to lead by example in the work that we do, you know. So talk to me, you know, where are you holding yourself back with trusting your intuition? You know, where do you think, is it a powerful force in your life? Does it need to be more of a powerful force in your life? Would you like it to be? Where do you feel like you hold yourself back in this way? You know, so I know, hi Cassandra. Cassandra says she struggles with trusting people and struggles badly with depression, anxiety, and a bad self-confidence. You do sense your intuition with people, but my mind is so over the place with a lot of stuff, I struggle noticing my guidance and my intuitions. You know, Cassandra, when I get in a space like that, I pull out my journal. I do writing, and I really, I clear my mind through what everything is in there, because half the time our mind is so full because we're not expressing it. We just keep going over and over in our mind all the time. Whereas if we get it out, we express it, even if it's just to ourselves in our journal, it still brings great clarity. And I am working on an intuitive journaling online course, which enrollments will be open for that probably within the next week, because I'm really just finishing off the back end supportive stuff, you know. So and the actual course will be live via Zoom, where we get together, and it'll be in the month of October, 4 weeks of live sessions, and it's about intuition and journaling. So that could really help in that situation, because I know for me that that's what I use, Cassandra, to help with that. And it's one way, and it will sort of cut through the confusion and the clarity and help you to connect more directly to your intuition. So that's part of the reason I'm talking about intuition today, is to lead into all of that education, but also it's you know, I guess sometimes I'm not even realizing how helpful it can be, but I know for me, I do. I clear my emotion through my journal, through my writing. So, you know, if you've got a journal, get it out, Cassandra, and just start writing, just start expressing, you know, what you feel, basically. You know, what you feel about, how you feel about your day. You know, sometimes I will write, okay, I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling lost, or I'm feeling frustrated, and I don't know why, you know, and I'll just start opening the conversation in the journal in that way, and just go with the thoughts that come in. So, you know, so I'm sure that will help just get you started. Okay, that's great, Cassandra. Yeah, because we just go around in our heads all the time. And we stay in there with our to-do list and our worries and our concerns, and we don't take the moment to just check in, you know, and that's where our intuition will speak. So anyway, I hope that helps. And yeah, just look out for what I've got coming over the next week or so, because enrollments will open up there. So yes, everyone else, like, please, even, I know we're live here at the moment, but if you watch the video through and you still have questions and you're watching the video as an archive later, then please just share with me what holds you back, you know, just like I've done with Cassandra. Maybe there's a little tool or tip that I can help you out with. So I'm happy to answer those questions at, you know, those sort of questions just any time, really. So by all means, yeah. The other thing, Cassandra, is I do have a couple of essential oils on my website that do help with that. I've got an essential oil blend called Calm, which I started using because that was my need too, is over the last few months I've had a little bit more anxiety and was struggling with just even in my day, really, like having episodes where I just felt like I couldn't breathe. So I basically was, I created a blend of oil, which was lavender and frankincense, and I have been using it daily and do put it on before I go to sleep. And I do notice that there is almost an instantaneous feeling of just, you know, so jump on over. I'll post that under this comment for you. I'll post a link for you ladies in here, just that will link you in, just taking you to my to that Calm essential oil, because that can help calm things down too. So just a simple oil blend. It's just fractionated coconut oil, lavender, and frankincense, and I just put it on my wrists and the soles of my feet to go to sleep, because I'm making use of reflexology there, and certainly around the temples. That sort of helps you breathe it in, and also soaking in through around here where you are worrying. So that sort of thing can help as well. Yeah, and I sense, Cassandra, some of that anger and frustration is just because it's all building up too much and just needing to create that shift of how we do things a little differently. So anyway, Cassandra, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're following me, because just even all of these little things, such as, you know, if I'm offering, you know, some insight or some education in these videos, if I've got an oil blend that can help, then even those, just those little things are going to make a difference for you. So I'm glad we've connected. Yes, it does get way too much, doesn't it, for all of us? So especially the last few months. So anyway, I will leave today's video there for you, lovelies. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions, or if anyone else has any follow-up questions on the topic of the video, then by all means, please ask. But really, I guess the thing is, I want you to know that your intuition is connected to that part of you that is connected to God. It's connected to your soul plan. It's connected to your destiny. And it really is, if you can action and acknowledge it, honor it by following it through, then that's all you really need to be doing to be living in your truth and to be living and unfolding who you truly are and what you came here to do and be. So so I'll leave that thought with you. And thanks for joining me, guys. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. God bless and have a great week. Thank you.